If you're anything like me, you probably had a pretty normal school experience. School taught you how to solve algebra problems, geometry, maybe write a 5 paragraph essay in APA format or MLA format, and even maybe how to dissect something, but they probably did not teach you how to handle money. And that's why a lot of us get into our 20s and realize we're kind of clueless, right? You get your first paycheck and it disappears. You sign up for car loans or student loans without thinking twice, and suddenly you're in the real world with a lot of responsibilities and no financial roadmap. So, today I want to talk about the 5 biggest things that I believe school gets wrong about money and what you can do about it. So, I think the first thing that school gets wrong about money, and you've probably heard this because I know I've heard this, is growing up, we're told work hard, get good grades, and you're going to be successful. Simple as that, right? But the truth is, life does not really work that way, and I'm sure you've figured that out by now. I know people who were straight A students that are struggling financially, and I also know people who barely passed any classes, but they learned how to sell, they learned how to market themselves, or even how to build a business, and those people are doing great. The reality is, money and most jobs don't actually care about your GPA. And while yes, for some, careers, the barrier of entry does require a degree, most times the value you bring is a lot more important. And school never really taught us that. They focus on testing us, but not the actual skills that are going to make us valuable in the real world. And the fix to this, if you're in school and don't really know what to do, obviously I'm not telling you to fail your classes or not spend time focusing on school, but you should really spend some extra time on building skills that actually matter in life. Things like communication, problem solving, and even basic money management. The most I ever learned about money in school was balancing a checkbook, and to this day in my adult life, I've never done that. So these are things that are actually going to pay off for you in life. I think one of the biggest lies school taught was that debt is just a normal part of life. You need to go to college, you're going to take out a student loan. You want a car, you're going to finance it. Credit cards, we all have them. I can think back on times in high school of teachers recommending credit cards to students, but not actually what to do with them. And that, looking back on it, that's such a terrible thing to recommend a student if you're not going to tell them how to actually manage credit cards. And here's the problem. Debt is just future money you've already spent. And when you're not making a lot of money yet, like you are in high school, those payments can weigh you down big time financially. And yeah, we might have learned how compound interest works in math class, but no one actually explained it in real life terms. None of my math classes of mine ever did a lesson on a Roth IRA or investing returns, or how a $2,000 credit card balance with 20% interest can trap you for years of your life if you only make a minimum payments. And these are such golden opportunities for school to teach us that, but they never do. And the truth is, debt really isn't normal. It's dangerous if you don't know how to manage it, and a lot of people don't know how to manage it. So the sooner that you can pay it off or just avoid debt at all in your whole life, the more financial freedom that you're going to have. I think the third thing that school gets wrong about money is this assumption that money skills and money in general are going to be things that we just figure out as we go through life. But if that were true, most adults, most schools wouldn't be stressed about money all the time because it's not something you just figure out. When I got my first real paycheck, I had no clue how to manage my money. Between food and random spending, I think my paycheck was gone in 2 days. And yeah, sure, I was earning money, but I was broke because I didn't know what to do with it. And school never taught us and never taught me how to budget, how to save, how to invest. School usually just assumes that you're going to pick it up at some point in your life. And spoiler, most of us don't. We really have to train these financial skills like they're muscles, because if we don't train our financial skills, they're never going to grow. And if you haven't, started already, you can start now. Watch YouTube videos. That's what I did. I learned all my investing knowledge, all my financial management knowledge. Everything I learned came from YouTube videos. If you're into reading, you could read books, or you could just follow people who actually explain money in plain English and make it easy to understand. And the cool thing is, even one small change, if you see, a small change in a video or read a small change in a book, like paying yourself first or a simple budgeting technique, that can literally change the whole course of your financial independence if you pick up one thing that you see from a video or a book. I think the fourth thing that school gets wrong about money is They really make it sound like once you get a job, once you get that job with your degree, you've made it, right? You graduate, you get hired, and you're making $100,000 a year. You have a house, you have a car, you have a family, and then you're done. But that's not the finish line at all. And life definitely does not work that way. I was definitely sold that dream when I was in school, where you get sold this idea that the minute you get your degree, the minute you graduate, you're going to be making great money, you're going to be able to buy a house, and truthfully, none of that has happened for me, right? And I'm not complaining, I have a good job now and I'm happy with it, but you definitely get sold this dream that once you get your degree and you get that first job, you're going to be rich. A job gives you income, but income alone is not the driver that's going to make you wealthy. You can make six figures. I've said it before. You can make six figures and still just be completely broke if you're spending everything. Wealth comes from what you keep and what you build. The problem is school never explained the difference between income and wealth. They never talked about assets. They never talked about investing or just ownership in general. So the fix to this is to stop thinking about just the paycheck. And this is something that I catch myself doing a lot, where I just think if I make X amount of money, I'll be happy. Or if my paycheck was this big, I'll be set for life. But reality is no matter how big or small your paycheck is, you need to use that paycheck to buy freedom through investing, through saving, or even just building something on the side, like a side hustle or whatever it might be. That's where your true wealth is going to come from. And I think the last thing that school definitely gets wrong about money is probably the most expensive thing we'll all face in life. School never taught me and probably never taught you about taxes or inflation. And taxes are going to be the biggest expense in your life, pretty much. But when did anyone teach us how to file taxes, what they mean, how they even work, or how retirement accounts, can save you thousands of dollars? And for most of us, the answer is probably never. And that ignorance towards things like that costs us real money in the real world. Then there's inflation. In school, $100 is $100. But in real life, that same $100 buys less and less every single year. And if your money is just sitting in a savings account, you're actually losing value over time. So the fix to this is learning the basics. Understand your taxes so you're not overpaying. Invest early so your money grows faster and beats out inflation. Protecting what you earn is just as important as earning it in the first place. You need to play defense as much as you play offense when it comes to your money. So to sum it all up, school definitely left a lot out. And I know some schools nowadays are trying to do better and teach financial literacy, but I really wish it was something that all schools taught, because it would benefit a lot of us, especially with how much of this young generation has anxiety and fear when it comes to their finances. And, the main thing is good grades do not guarantee success. Debt isn't just a normal part of life. Money doesn't magically make sense when you're older. A job is just the starting point, and it's not going to be your finish line. And if you ignore taxes and inflation, you're going to fall behind in life. But the good news is you don't need a classroom to learn any of this stuff nowadays. If you're still in school, I highly encourage you to start learning financial literacy on YouTube or whatever it might be, reading books. You can start today. And the sooner you do it, the sooner that you're going to feel that sense of freedom that a lot of people spend decades in their whole adult life chasing. So if this helped, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a good day.